So President Trump gave another rambling speech in the Rose Garden. It was supposed to be a speech about infrastructure, but he really just played the victim and whined about the investigations into his businesses that the Democrats are currently conducting. They're, of course, trying to get his tax returns, and he's flipping out as a result of that. So this is, without question, my favorite part of the speech.
And I told Senator Schumer, Speaker Pelosi, I want to do infrastructure. I want to do it more than you want to do it. I'd be really good at that. That's what I do. But you know what? You can't do it under these circumstances. So get these phony investigations over with.
I'm sorry, I was going to go ahead and make America great again. But I can't because I don't like what the Democrats are doing.
So, in other words, the American people now have to suffer because Donald Trump's little snowflake feelings are hurt. I mean, think about how ridiculous what he just said is. You don't want to do infrastructure, so you don't want to make America great again, which is your whole fucking thing, what you say your thing is, because Democrats are investigating you, so you're holding that over their heads, but really it's holding it over the heads of the American people, and you're saying you have to stop looking into my businesses and my corruption and my finances,
and then maybe we'll do infrastructure. I want to do it so much. I want to do it more than even you do. More than anybody can imagine. You simply hate to see it, folks. You hate to see the Democrats doing what they're doing here, I have to tell you. It's really sad. Very sad.
Oh, come on, man. The Democrats have to pounce on this because that's just... Imagine Obama said something like that. I'm not the biggest fan of like the let's compare Trump to Obama because it's usually like a cheap point in many instances where, you know, people will try to act like there's no comparison when in many cases, there are comparisons, like drone strikes. Obama just killing civilians doing drone strikes and Trump doing the same and going even further. But this is one of those instances where you know it'd be on Fox News for like 5 days straight.
Listen, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to do an infrastructure deal. Let me be clear. I would like to do an infrastructure deal, but I can't do it because the Republicans are looking a little too closely into myself and my administration. And this, I think, has to stop before we do anything legislatively. So I'm going to make the American people have no legislation that improves their lives until I get what I want in terms of the investigations.
He would never do that because he's not a fucking child. He's not a baby.
Trump is a child. Sorry, I can't make America great again today because the Democrats are mean to me.
And he spins everything that's weak, he spins as if it's macho. Like, this isn't macho. This reminds me of when he pulled out of the Fox News debate during the primaries and he was like, Megyn Kelly's going to be there. And I have to tell you, Megyn Kelly treats me very unfairly. Very unfairly. That's incredibly weak and insecure for you to not show up. But you're trying to pretend like it's like you're a macho man. You're a big, strong guy. Oh, it's so stupid. Now, but here's the other important point about this. There's stuff that's in those tax returns. There's no doubt about that. I'm convinced of that. 100%. And, you saw little hints being dropped every step of the way if you were paying attention. Because I remember his rambling speech at CPAC, where he was also massively high on Adderall. And he was saying, on the Russia investigation, he was saying,
what happened? I thought that this was supposed to be about Russia. Look into Russia, but you want to look into every business dealing I've ever done? These people are sick. Sick people. Sick people. Very sick.
So that's him. That's like a little hint of like, fine, go ahead. Go nuts in the Russia stuff. Look all you want. But looking at my personal business dealings, well, don't do that. I thought this was about Russia. Focus on the Russia thing. Don't look into my businesses. Don't look into other things involving my finances. Don't do that. That's like a red flag of, oh, you're going to find shit there. And I've said it all along. there's an investigation into Trump in the Southern District of New York happening right now. And I think that when Trump is no longer president, they will indict him. And they'll indict him on maybe up to a dozen financial crimes, and including money laundering. There was that big story that broke earlier in the week that we covered of, Deutsche Bank. There were red flags about money laundering, and they were ignored by the higher-ups. The higher-ups at Deutsche Bank made a decision. Don't look into that. Probably because they knew. In the same way, Deutsche Bank, and they were part of the LIBOR scandal. They were part of... They did business with, like, Iran and, like, drug cartels and shit, violating U.S. sanctions, so breaking the law. So they probably knew what was going on with Trump, and they were just protecting him. So they ignored money laundering red flags. But the point is, they're hiding his tax returns. They're going out of their way to hide his tax returns. He's been bullshitting since he started running his campaign. And when he was running his campaign, he was saying, oh, I'm under a routine audit, and when I'm done with the audit, then I'll release it. And then he never released it. And then if you ask him that question today, he says the same thing. Like, oh yeah, routine audit. You've been under audit for fucking 2 years straight? That's a crock of shit, dog. Everybody knows that's a crock of shit. So he's hiding them. He's hiding them because there's shit in there. Now, best case scenario for him is he's just not as wealthy as he says. But I really don't think that's it. I really think that there's other... And there's some evidence to point in the direction that there are other financial crimes. And this is... I mean, you want to talk about desperate? When you do a speech in the Rose Garden and it's supposed to be about infrastructure, and you make the whole fucking thing about how Democrats are mean for investigating you and trying to get your tax returns. And a court, I think, recently ruled that they have to turn them over or something like that. Forgive me for not knowing the details. The court case literally came out yesterday, so I didn't have time to go through it. But it's something about, no, when Democrats are asking for that and they're doing a congressional investigation, you have to turn it over. So this is a desperate attempt, man. This is him, like, really trying to say, no, don't look there, and I'm going to hold infrastructure over your head to maybe, hopefully, make it so that you drop this. But I got bad news for Donald Trump. You think the Democratic Party actually gives a shit about getting infrastructure passed? I wish they did. They don't give a shit about getting it passed, and they would rather play politics. In the same way, it's not like the Republicans wouldn't do similar shit. They do it all the time, but they don't care enough about the actual policy. So holding that over their head, the Pelosi and Schumer are laughing at that. They're like, shit, I'm not sure we want to do an infrastructure deal at all in the first place. So to think that this is going to work, this isn't going to work, dog. They're coming for you hard. And this is one of those instances where they're searching hard enough and they might just find something. And you can tell he's scared. He really is. He's shook. Now, the question is whether or not they'll be able to capitalize off of what we learned, because there's so many instances with Trump. It reminds me of that old tweet, which I think is still one of the best ever, in my opinion. It's like somebody says, I'd like to see old Donnie, wiggle his way out of this one. And then it says, Donnie wiggles his way out of it easily. And then it says, well, nevertheless. That's like every Trump scandal, especially in regards to Russiagate. It was like, aha, we got him. And then it was just like 2 days later, like, what was that story where we thought we all got him? It would just go away. And, it's possible that all that shit ends up like that. But, again, my prediction is, and you'll be able to hold me to it, I was right about Russiagate. They found no evidence of collusion. I was correct about that. My prediction was spot on. My next prediction is when he's no longer president, he will be indicted by the Southern District of New York for genuine financial crimes. 100%. That's what I think. And I also think he is hiding the tax returns because there's a lot of stuff in there that he doesn't want anybody to fucking see, and we will know, we'll be able to trace that money back to a variety of corrupt dealings, to say the least, including, yes, Russian oligarchs, money laundering elsewhere with other people. In his Panama hotel, there was evidence of drug money laundering. In New York, in the 80s and 90s, he did dealings with the mafia. He had to be a builder in New York in the 80s and 90s. 100% you had to have mafia dealings. 100%. So you'll be able to find that stuff for sure. So I think he's really panicking at the last minute here because they're on to something with with looking into his personal finances, because I think there's just a treasure trove of damaging stuff.